Welcome to the Beyond the Bucket Show, a podcast centered around optimizing all life's buckets. We all have buckets we are balancing: coaching, entrepreneurial ventures, family, passion projects, and health. Let's all take this journey together and become bucket fillers. And here's your host, Chris McSwain.
Welcome back to Beyond the Buckets. Thank you for joining us. Before I get to our esteemed guests, make sure you like, subscribe, and tell a friend to tell a friend so they can share the podcast. But today's guest, we got a big time guest in many different ways, but an all-star, a former West Virginia Mountaineer on the D line, but he's got a basketball background, as we will get into as well. But Coach Jason Hardee, he is the defensive line coach at CSM currently, and he is a former college basketball coach. So Beyond the Buckets, of course. Welcome to the program, Jay.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. Finally got it to work out.
I know. For sure.
I had to come down.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah,
I'm glad you did. I think the in-person ones are way better. Yeah. Just goes like when you can get in front of somebody, you can feel their energy, you can match the energy, and I think that's very important. But before we start, I think you know the show a little bit, but give me a fun fact about yourself that most people might not even know.
I had a fun fact is I was offered a basketball contract, a professional basketball contract when I was playing professional indoor football, arena football.
Wow. And who was the contract
with? It was a Mexican team. It was a team in Mexico. I can't remember the guy's name. So I played with Coach Yosh at he's the West Valley head coach now. So every year he took a bunch of us to Costa Rica and we played. It's like the under 19 teams. Yeah. So we went out there. I played really well. Like I was MVP of the championship game. And this guy was like, "Hey man, like you're like, because I'm only 6'3", but he's like, you're undersized, but man, you move your body well. You use your body well in like on the post. You're pretty well." Yeah. And then he goes, "Well, go talk to him." So I talked to the guy and I'm like, "Well, I mean, I want to play in college. That was like the dream. I wanted to be like a 2-sport star." Yep. But I was like, the goal was I want to play in the NFL. I was like, so I'm trying to go D1 in football and basketball. I walk on somewhere. That was the goal. And then he goes, "Well, you know, if that ever changes, I'm going to keep a track on you." So then later on, so fast forward maybe 6-7 years. Yeah. So then I was sitting there and I got a call at my agent at the time. And he goes, "This team in Mexico hit you. And the guy said he knows you. He wants to offer you a contract in the offseason when you're done with arena." Because the way arena, it fell. So arena football was like January to August, right? So then after that, he was like, he wanted me to come maybe try out after or whatever. Oh, wow. And then I was just like, wow. I didn't know what to say. I was like, man, I was like, I ain't played basketball in so long. But yeah, at one point I was offered a contract to play professional basketball. Oh, wow. And a lot of people don't know that. That's like me between, well, more people know it now, but
and most people don't know that you were actually the WCAL Player of the Year in basketball.
I was. I don't even like to say I was WCL and CCS.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay.
And CCS. So
see, I don't do much research on the show. I just go by what people tell me. But
okay.
No, I did a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty impressive. Like to be, a all WCAL, football player as well as basketball player, because so many people are specializing now. And I think we grew up at kind of, you graduated 2000? 2000. So I was a year after you, but I played football, basketball, and baseball in high school. And I think you did the same thing too. Was baseball your best sport too?
Baseball, yes. So some people do say that baseball was one of my best sports. I played at Serra freshman year, and then I kind of just like growing up, little league and stuff, because I didn't play football till freshman year of high school. I played soccer, basketball, baseball the whole time, like growing up, because my dad was super into. My bones are too brittle. I'm a big kid, because then Pop Warner, you got to lose weight and all that. And he was like, "No, we're not doing that." He goes, "We're going to just build your strength up and let you just kind of just grow, and let's see what happens. I don't want you messing with your weight." And then he's like, "Your bones are too brittle at that time." He was super into that. So I didn't play football. Only football we played was catch. I did a little stuff with my friends, like in the yard or something. But other than that, I was playing football, basketball, baseball, soccer. I was on traveling baseball teams. I played Babe Ruth, Connie Mack, travel teams. And then, you know, I was always on like the all-star team. So I think that helped me with like my eye-hand coordination for football and basketball.
So why'd you stop playing baseball?
I just got into AAU and I got into AAU and I wanted to lift weights for football. Yep. So it was like baseball. Something had to go at some point. I don't think I could have did all three. I mean, some do rarely. But I was like, I kind of want to focus on this football basketball thing. That was kind of
the same thing for me. I played all freshman year, all three. Okay. Actually, I didn't even play football until my sophomore year. Okay. So I played basketball and baseball because those were the only two. And the football coach was like, "Hey, come out." I played Pop Warner for a hot minute, and then I went out there and I played, and then also, you know, I got a football scholarship to play, but basketball was always my first love, but baseball was the best at, and I stopped playing because of AAU basketball.
It's great.
And you know, I wish if I would. I talked to a lot of my baseball friends. I wish I would have continued to try to play all three, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you see an avenue that you're gonna actually attain a college scholarship, then you probably got to get one up. And that was baseball for, I guess, both of us was probably that one that you had to give up.
I didn't like giving it up. That was the thing. I didn't like it. I still like secretly I was playing when I wasn't supposed to. So like they had like the travel Connie Mack team. It wasn't like Joe, but they would like, hey, anytime you can come to a game, go to a game. So I was still secretly playing because like I loved it so much. I just love playing sports so much.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing that really ignited me. It's the only thing I was telling my wife. Like, I was an average student in high school. I got a 2.6. And that was, and so your SAT score had to be higher. Yeah. And then that's why I went junior college. And I went to Foothill and you went to CSM. But I do want to ask you, you know, being such a high recruit in football, you were like a 4-star in football, and in basketball, you were high level too. But for me, I had a 2.6, so I had to have over 1,000. I had to have over 1,000 on my SAT. I only took the SAT once, and it was late. And I had one school that was kind of left recruiting me, and that was Utah. Okay. And that was when Alex Smith was going there, and they said he played with this guy named Reggie Bush that played running back in San Diego. Yeah, down in San Diego, and Alex was coming in, and Meyer wasn't recruiting me. It was the receivers coach or whatever. But he was like, yeah, you can be a preferred walk-on, but we can't give you a scholarship based on your academics. And I was like, okay, well, and maybe that was cap anyway. They might not even wanted me because they wanted me to play DB. And I didn't want to play DB. I wanted to play receiver because that's where all the shine is, like you get the ball. But yeah, so
did you not do good in school? Well, 2 point. I mean, because I had similar grades. Like, was it because it wasn't like interesting? You're kind of like your mind is so focused on sports and like if they don't engage you, it's kind of like that's kind of where in college, like people are like, yeah, how'd you do in college? I was like, man, I was thinking about the 6'9", 360-pound guy at Boston College I got to go through today. I'm not thinking about some lady up there talking about American literature.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, so, yeah.
I think in college, I had like I was a scholar athlete, so over 3.75 my whole 4.5 years. And I think that was because I got to choose the classes that I wanted to go to. And I don't know what I was literally talking to my wife this week about that one night. We're just like, well, what was your grades? And I was like, I'm 2.6. She was like, oh, me too. But I did great in college. I don't know what flipped that, but I see that with my son. My daughter is probably going to be more of the studious person. And I feel like he's more like active and energetic. And some of the things that you learn in school, I don't think you need to learn. I think, and I don't use hardly any of the stuff. Now, I do think that being able to go through something difficult that you don't want to do and you're able to overcome it, I think that is a huge benefit. But I don't see the benefit of a lot of the things that we do in school. And I'm an educator myself, you know, like yourself. But what was it for you? Did it switch in college, or was it was it similar in high school?
It was similar, except for I had got in trouble a little bit at West Virginia. So they red flagged some class. So I had to red shirt when I got to West Virginia. They red flagged a class I took.
Before you go there, what made you go JC first?
So back then, guys weren't getting recruited like that. I was a high level guy. The only things I had coming out of high school, I had Tuskegee, they wanted me to play football and basketball. I had Purdue asked me to walk on for football.
Wow.
And then I had Sonoma State for basketball, Stanislaus State, and that was it. That's all I had coming out of high school.
As a player of the year. Yeah. That's wild.
And I was just, it was football. We were 3-7 my senior year. Our team was, we weren't that good. I played well. I got letters and stuff, but nothing concrete. I mean, Tuskegee, it was fun. Tuskegee came to, which was D2. They came to a basketball game, and the basketball coach saw me and was like, "Hey man, do you play football?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." Gave him my film. He takes the film to the coach, and the coach was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna offer him."
Wow.
So that's kind of how I even got that one. that was luck.
Tuskegee
in Alabama. Yeah, in Alabama.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the only reason why I got that one, and off of Wilm. And he just happened to be visiting a friend that was there in the stands.
Wow.
Yeah, so pre-huddle. So it wasn't like it is now with the huddle and getting recruited. It was tough to get recruited. I didn't go to camps. That wasn't like a big thing then, like going to the school. Yep. They don't have satellite mega camps, didn't have any of that. So you're really just, if somebody sees you and you do well. I got invited to one camp, the West Coast All-Star Camp, the double pump one, and going into my senior year, but played with like kind of a hurt knee. So I was just like, there were schools there, they liked me, and then D2, but the D2 only saw me Sonoma State because one of my best friends, Ryan Hensel, and then Jeb Ivy was there, was telling, Jeb, he's been on your show. Jeb was a baller.
Oh,
Jeb was a baller. Yeah, good Lord. The story, I remember when everyone was like, oh, he's going to Portland State. I'm like, he's not going D1. What's the rest of us going to do?
All right, Sonoma State. He went to
Sonoma State. Yeah. Then he went to Portland State.
But then he went to JC and then he went to Portland State.
But I just remember everybody was like, man, when he was going to Sonoma State, man, if he's not going D1, what? So all that, and then my best friend, because at the time Jeb Ivy said something, and then they were recruiting my best friend. It's the only reason why I got them. So I wasn't heavily recruited like I should. Well, I felt I should have been. So
Jeb was 1 year older than you?
1 year older. Okay. Yeah, he's 99. Mm-hmm. So then I think JC, and I thought I was a better player than a walk-on at Purdue, and I thought I was a better player than Tuskegee. So I kind of just bet on myself. I was like, I'm going to go to JC. See what I can do. Because at the time, the only ones were really getting out.
Why didn't you go to Foothill then? Because Foothill was sending everybody out.
I just went local. I was like, I want to be a San Mateo. I'm a San Mateo guy. Yeah. I went to San Francisco City College for a little bit.
Okay, for a semester. They were sending people out too.
They were sending people out. And then I just wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling there. And then I just was like, I'll come home. I want to get that program going, play with my buddies. All my buddies went there.
Okay, that makes sense.
From the baseball guys, I met a lot of guys, had friends, because I kind of grew up here. So I was like, if I'm going to end this thing, because at the time I didn't have anything. So I'm like, if this is going to be over, I'm going to do that. And I was on the City College basketball team too.
Oh, wow. So
I had that. So I had the offers from, it was really City College, San Francisco to play both. And then I was like, okay. So I left. And then Yosh, he told I could play at Kenyatta and then play football at CSM.
Oh, so you play? I didn't know you played at Kenyatta too.
Yeah, so I played at Kenyatta.
Yosh coaching over
there? So he had just left.
Okay.
So he was there, then he left. I played McLean was his name. He played. So after the CSM my sophomore year, then I played hoops for 16 games and then got my offer in January. So after football was over, I played November, December, I played basketball.
Got it. And then
left in January. Yeah, and then left in January.
And then so you said you got into a little bit of trouble in West Virginia?
I did. So what happened was they red flagged the class I took at Serra. So the whole time I was a qualifier. The whole time. So then I was like, because I didn't need my AA if you're a qualifier back then. Yeah. So then they red flagged some math class I took at Serra. So then they were disputing it back and forth. Like, was it legit? Was it not? And the whole thing, I'm like, man, I'm at a all boys private school. How is the class not legit? It was weird. It was the weirdest thing. By the time they solved the problem, it was November. Because NCAA just dragged their feet the whole time.
So you missed six games or something.
I missed the game. And then they were just like, just red shirt is good. So then I ended up just red shirting, and then I didn't start till 2023. So I had to sit out the whole year. So I got there.
No, you mean 2003?
Yeah. So I got there January 2002.
Okay.
They disputed it.
So you went 1 year at
I was
CSM?
out 1 year. I was out 1 year.
So then you had 3.
Yeah.
You had 4 to play 3.
Yes.
Because you didn't redshirt.
Right. I didn't redshirt. So then I get there, and then I was just sitting there. It was all I could do was lift weights and work out, and that's all I did for the whole year.
So looking back, was that something that was good for you at that time? Because you came back your junior and senior year and led the team in sacks.
Right. So I think it was. That's a good question. I think it was the mental aspect of it. I'm not the man. This is the first time I'm not playing sports. I didn't have a game that day. So what am I working on? What am I doing? I think it prepared me for when I was actually playing. So I think it was good for me in hindsight because I got my grades up. Grades was never an issue after that. But I think it was more my mental got even stronger than it was before.
What was the hardest part during that whole time period?
Game days, sitting there watching the games.
Did you travel?
Nope, didn't travel. So I was
on TV.
That's what I'm saying. I'm watching. And then they had an NCAA rule because it was a contest. I had to sit in the stands.
Jeez.
I wasn't even on the sideline. So I was sitting in the stands watching games, didn't travel. Only thing I was on the team was lifting weights, working out.
What was that like when your friends would call and you'd be like, oh, I'm out on a scholarship out in West Virginia.
Yeah.
And like they don't see you.
Yes.
And you're not on the field.
Nothing.
Like what was that? Those conversations like?
It was more of my parents and everybody and my friends like, keep your head up, you're okay. I think everybody kind of knew it was like, I mean, if you do it now, you think I was lying. Like, no, he's really not out there. Yeah. He's just somewhere. But they were like, nah, keep your head up, you okay. And don't even worry about it. Your time's coming. And I just was always in that. I always tell kids, it's your circle. Your circle, who you have around you is big in terms of your development, in terms of how you're structured, how you're wired.
Say that then. That's
it's
for sure.
Big. Like I tell kids all the time, who you hang out with is big. Who you pick, your friends, and then men as who you get as you get older. You know, who's the girls around you, who's your friends around you, who's how your parents, like all that is big in terms of your development because in terms of your development, and then it's even bigger when you're a man.
Yeah, no doubt. So, and I'm very conscientious of this with my own children, and you can see it now, you know, with the way different parents parent or how the kids are. And I want to put my kid around people that are uplifting.
Yes.
You know, I'm a firm believer, and I say this a lot, and I tell that this is like the best advice I can give people is people come into your life for 4 different reasons, and that is to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. And in my life, I want people that are adding and multiplying to my life. I have no room for people that are subtracting or dividing. And if you can't do the 2 positive things with that equation, I can't have you in my life. And the vice versa. I want to make sure that I'm adding and multiplying to people's lives. So whether that be just being around and the energy that I'm bringing off, or if I'm able to put somebody and help them get in a position, like if it's one of my assistant coaches and they want a head coaching job, can I position them? I'm adding and multiplying to whatever it is that they're trying to do. And because they're in my life, hopefully they're doing the same thing. You know, my assistant coaches or the people that, you know, are running my camps and all that sort of stuff. Hopefully, because I'm doing the same thing to them, they're doing the same thing. And if not, I don't have any room for you.
Yeah. You can't because I talk to my guys all the time about when they pass rush, right? You want to gain ground on every step you take. I don't want any wasted movement or wasted steps. And that's super like how I'm into like technique. Everything's got to be tight. It's fluid. It's this. I'm taking every step. And I tell them, but guys, this is life too. You want to be taking steps towards your goals or towards the things you're objective or things that you're subjective to. It's not, we don't want to take steps back. We don't want to take steps lateral. But people do that too. People can suck you in that you can't take your step forwards.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And you talk about the detail, and we're kind of bouncing around a lot, but I came across you when you were coaching Top Flight football. This is like right out of the pandemic, and Jason Pollock, who you work with now, you know, and Adair wanted to set this thing up, and they had this whole vision about, you know, just kind of changing the way things were structured for young athletes. And I absolutely love their vision. And I told them to do it by themselves. Honestly, I was like, Adair, Jason, why don't you guys just do this? But they wanted to be a part of something that we had already created. It was easy just to kind of like add it. But and then when he got the Reardon job, obviously that changed because he lives in San Francisco now. But he had all of the best coaches. I think it was Frank from Midi. I don't know if he's still over there.
He is still. He's the O-line coach at Midi.
And they had you. They had OG, the DB coach. They had Jason doing receivers, and they had Adair doing quarterbacks. And I forget the other gentleman.
I wish that was a football staff. Actually, that'd be pretty good. It
was a crazy staff. And so I took my son out there when he was much younger. And just the level of detail that you talked about, the hand placement, the foot placement, every single body movement, but every single one of those coaches was so dialed and detailed about this is the way it needs to be. Like, where did you get that? And then how did Adair get all these great coaches to want to be a part of that? Because I thought it was quite amazing.
For the details wise, I've always just been a guy. That's what is going to separate you from being good to great. And that's kind of instilled from my dad, my godfather, Huey Thomas. He played at USF. That was like my personal trainer, but he's my godfather. So, but they always, when they were coaching me for every sport, it was always about the details. Like your foot's too far over here, or your foot's over here, or you're not coming all the way up with your elbow's going too wide, like a half a meter or half a centimeter, you know what I mean? Or football, all my coaches that I had were super detailed, and that I always felt like that's what made me better. So when I got into coaching, it was already kind of instilled in me that I'm going to be heavy on the details. Details. I do a little personal training. I'm super selective in who I do that with. But the thing I talk to them about is I want quality reps.
Right.
We're out here for an hour. If you give me 6 great quality reps, you've gotten better. Like, that's all I care about. I'm not out here to kill you and you go 50, 60, 100 reps and we go through this and I'm taking your money and then you go leave and it's like a conditioning period. No, this is for your detailed instruction. I want to have it perfected. I want to develop the muscle memory for the details. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where it all started. Like, if I'm going to be out there and pour into a kid, I want them to get something out of it. And the only way you can get something out of it, them to get it out of it, is if you're super detailed.
Right.
With your technique.
I think that's great. And like, that's why I like these conversations, because I don't know if you listen to me and Coach Jules episodes a couple of times, but she always talks about coach every rep, every single rep.
Yes.
And so
I'm big on that.
That's like, in my mind, I'm more conscientious about that, because in basketball, there's so many possessions and there's so much stuff that goes on, because you got to coach, like you coach one part of the game at football, but basketball, we have to coach offense, we have to coach defense, we have set plays, we have fast break plays, we have different zones, different man-to-mans. Like, there's just a lot of stuff that's happening quickly. So it's easy to just be like, all right, I'm not gonna, but I've been thinking more like every single rep, I want to make sure that we get the most out of it. Why are we doing this shot fake? Well, it needs to look like an actual shot fake. And if they're not really doing it and looking at the rim and then passing it right off, it's not what we need it to be. So no, you get eyes to the rim, but like you make it look just like you were going to shoot the shot. And then if the defense is not closing out on you, then you can shoot the shot because you have enough space. If you don't have enough space, you shot fake and wait for the defense to react. All you need to do is let them move 1-2 inches. If they go like this, you have the advantage. And then when you get the advantage, you have to take the advantage and then keep the advantage, and then most importantly, be able to finish the advantage. But I want you to get back to the second part about how all those coaches got there because of the relationships that you guys had with Adair and Jason.
I think it's just Adair, and then Adair having huge respect from all of us in terms of OG. He's like my little brother. We've known each other since high school, so. You know,
isn't OG older than you?
No, he's younger.
He's younger? Okay, but his son.
People think
his son is 8, like just graduated.
His
right?
son just graduated.
Okay.
Yeah, so his son, his middle son just graduated. So, but I've known him since high school. We've been boys since high school. He played at CSM. Okay. So we've known each other. 1999, 2000. So we have a super strong relationship already. And then Adair I coached with at MA. So when I was coaching, and then Coach Pollock, I met him, and it kind of just fit, like, and it's guys that you want to coach with, guys that you want to go to battle with. Like those guys I would coach with if we were just going to a park or something, we had a team, or the same guys I'd coach with if we're all in the NFL together, if we're in college, it doesn't matter. So I think Adir does a good job of, that's how, when you coach with him, that's how he makes you feel, like in terms of, I'll die for this guy. Like,
and he lets y'all coach.
Yeah,
he actually lets you guys coach.
That's what he's big on. I've seen him. He's not a super micromanager. He trusts you, and that as a coach, as assistant coach, I think that's the biggest thing, is when the coaches let you coach. I've coached and played for coaches that super micromanage, and it just feels like something's off all the time with the assistant coaches. You can just feel that energy of, man, I don't really believe in that. So if they don't believe in it, why am I going to believe in it if they're coaching it or teaching it? So because obviously there's this rift between the head coach and the assistant coach who's teaching you. Right. So I think Adir does a good job of let him coach. I trust him. And then the results come through, and then that's the product of it. So he lets us coach, similar to Coach Tulloch at CSM, Coach Owens. They let you coach. Right. It's super refreshing every day. They don't question you what you're doing. They have an end goal, like, what are we doing? They want to see what you're doing and what's going on. That's fine. But they're like, okay, I like that. That's good. Right. That's good.
I get that. I was probably more like a micromanager earlier in my career. Okay. Now I've given the staff the autonomy to make their decisions. I don't do any of the subs. Okay. I don't call the offensive plays, even though obviously you can see behind my board, like I have a hand in what I want it to look like. And there's times when we go back and forth where it's like, no, I really like the way this looks. And he'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Or no. And I'd be like, actually, I like the way you got it better. Mm-hmm. And we're just always trying to like fine tune what we're doing and how we're doing it.
So I've always watched you from afar, like before we met, like, because I'm super into, it's basketball season. I love basketball. Yeah. So I love watching girls basketball, boys basketball at the high school level, junior college level. Like I'm super into, okay, what he gonna do in this timeout, or what they gonna do. So I always watch you from afar, like, and I was always like, oh, he's a good coach. I like his X's and O's, motivation, and all that. So my thing would be like, when you stop micromanaging, or when you switched it, but you've always been successful, is it less stressful now?
Oh, it's less stressful.
You know
now.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, is it less stressful?
Like the other day, my son had he's playing all-star baseball, and I had a conflict. Like either I go to my son's games, or we go to the summer league games, or I go to the summer league games.
Oh, you gotta go to summer league.
And I let my assistants take that over. But 8 years ago, I would have never missed any of that, right? But now, like I have I had to go visit my grandma because she's getting older, and so we were up at St. Mary's team camp. I let my assistant, who used to play for me, she took over, and I want to give them that empowerment too. But yeah, I think it's probably less stressful, and you can just kind of focus on other stuff. Like I only focus on the defense. Of course, I'm focused on the offense, but I'm not worried about the offense anymore because I know that it's in good hands. So whatever he calls, he's just as good, if not better. Right. So I believe in that. And yeah, I would say it's probably a little bit less stress, and you can kind of manage things better, not having to sub, like, because now, like, to be honest with you, and I've never said this really out loud, but he's doing the subs. So if the players are mad, they might not be mad at me anymore because I'm not doing the subs. Yeah. Right. So then there's this accountability thing where it's like, no, I agree with him on that. And so if a player had a problem or a parent had a problem, like we can talk about it. But I'm just like, I put him in charge of this, and I believe he's doing the right thing. I would be doing the same exact thing. So yeah, and he's also the assistant principal at the school too, which helps, because for academic stuff or stuff that we hear,
you guys got it rolling over there. It's impressive.
I mean, it's always a work in progress. I mean, last year was like the worst year record wise that I've had, but we had a really young team, so I'm really looking forward to this next kind of stretch, as we probably like. Let's just say, I mean, let's just say I'm a third. I have a third left in my coaching career, right? Like we're just throwing out a number. So, if I got 5, 6, 7, 8 years left, Like I want to see what this next level is, and then we'll see kind of where my kids are at that point, because that's what's going to determine what I do. If I can not miss, if they're at my school and I don't have to miss any of their stuff, like that could probably keep me in the game a little bit longer. Because I'm not missing their stuff. When it comes to, all right, I'm coaching another person's child, or seeing my own child, or being able to possibly coach my own child, I probably need to, well, not probably, I need to prioritize that. If I can make it all work and still not miss the things that I want to miss, then I'll know if it's time to go or not. But I'm really enjoying it. I haven't had this much fun coaching in a long time, and COVID was actually a really good thing.
It's crazy how COVID helped.
As far as like a pause, and now I'm like rejuvenated. I'm juiced. And the relationship piece is probably like the biggest part too. Like we were talking about at Deer, and that's I wanted to mention that because this dude is one of the most rock solid people that I know, and a lot of people have bad things to say about him because all these players want to go play for him, and I have a real problem with that. And so if there are people out here listening that are in that circle of high school sports and you don't know this person, you need to get to know this person because he's doing nothing but great things. And that's the reason why the players want to go play for him. And a lot of the older coaches around don't really like the fact that he's kind of a disruptor in that space. But he's a rock solid person. He's not doing anything illegal. The school is actually promoting it because they want athletes.
They have missions. This is what they want. He's doing his job. He's not doing anything illegal. He's doing his job. If
you said you're at a school and you can get any kid that you want to get in there, however you're doing it, it's not illegal. By all means, do it. If that's what the school's direction is, and clearly they have made a stance on their athletic program, specifically football and men's and women's basketball. They are getting kids in, and they can do it in a different way. And hats off to them. I can't be upset about that. I'm just trying to compete against that. That's it.
I think it's competition. That's what it is. And then I think anytime somebody comes in and ruffles feathers or doesn't just fall in line, I don't think he's not going to fall in line. That's not what type of guy he is. He's just a super. He wants to win. He wants to be great at this, and he has to get kids into the school. I mean, and everybody thinks that school almost closed because they had low enrollment. They weren't getting kids, and I've always said Reardon is like a sleeping giant. They should have been better than what they were or what they should have been. They have like a good couple years, and then it's not. But now he's keeping it. He's going to keep it steady to where he gets in a lot of guys. But people going to be upset when you don't go according to their plan.
Yeah, so no doubt.
He's got to do it. Me and him have talked several times. I'm just like, man, just
how does he feel about it? I don't I
know he's not here, and we're talking about him, but I think he's frustrated, which he should be, because you know how it is when people start talking about you and it's things that you're not doing and they're talking about you. You kind of form this super hardened shell, and then now you're not super receptive of other things, and it kind of takes away from, because we're doing it legit and we're working hard. It's almost like my hard work is being questioned, right? And it's like nobody really wants that when you're coach. You don't want any questioning of my hard work, like you're cheating almost, and I'm not doing it legit. I'm not putting in the hours. I'm not putting in that. And I think that's where he's frustrated in terms of, man, I'm doing the work. I'm going above and beyond. I'm with these kids all the time. I'm putting in hard work. Plus, I got my other job, and then I getting the kids in. The kids are getting scholarship offers to schools that they would have never before, and I'm helping kids reach their dream. What's the problem? What's the issue? Why are you guys attacking me? I'm just trying to help the kids just like you. I'm just doing it differently, and the admissions is allowing me to do it. So what's the problem?
I'm a big believer in like real men, real dudes, like you're a real one. I think men need to be acknowledged for one, and respected, and like acknowledge me for the things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Acknowledge me for all these kids that I'm putting out. Acknowledge me for taking my time on social media to post about these kids.
Yeah.
Acknowledge all of that stuff, and the respect that I'm putting in just as much work, probably more than anybody else.
Yeah.
And that is, I think that's what men need. I think women need to feel seen / heard, and then they also need to be appreciated. My wife and I have these sort of conversations all the time. But if you respect me and you acknowledge me as a man, like that's really all I need. And as a woman, as much as they do the appreciation as well as just being seen / heard, I really hate that term. Like I cannot stand. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. But if that's how they feel, I need to make sure that I'm aware of like what that means and things like that. But I think, in his case, the respect and
it's the lack of respect. I think he
and
feels
the acknowledgement.
he's not getting. But I think I've told him a championship will cure all that. Who cares?
For sure.
And then he won't care anymore if he rolls off 2-3 championships and he gets the kids out. People can say what they want to say,
right? And they better be careful because he could end up in college. He's a great asset too.
That part,
like, and he's had opportunities. He's had opportunities, which I know in most recently. And he's a loyal person. So yeah,
that's tough.
Talk about, so which one do you like coaching better? You coach basketball and you played and you coach football and you played both too. Which one did you like coaching better?
I think I love coaching football defensive line. Like, I think that's my thing. I think coaching, when I was coaching basketball at Serra and Kenyatta, when I was coaching that junior college, we went really far. We were good. I love the aspect of coaching both ends of the court. So it's like, the games never stop. It's like when I'm coaching football, the defensive line, but then we got to sit down. I got no say-so on the offense or the special teams, right? I'm just kind of sitting there. You're like, okay, waiting for your guys to get out there.
Yep.
Right. But you're still coaching in between, you're doing your adjustments and all that. But there's like a time where you're watching. But basketball, hey, I'm coaching up, down. It's every possession. So I love that part of coaching every single possession.
Did you coach at Serra basketball too?
I was assistant JV coach
back
for a while.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then I was always Coach Rapp's assistant coach at the end of the bench. I would, like when Henry Caruso and all them were there.
I remember.
So I would do the stats for him. I'd hand him the stats for that was for him to get me on the staff, like, because they got that WCL rule, you can't have so many.
You can only have 8 coaches, I believe. Yeah.
Right. So then I would be a stats guy. I'd print out the sheet, hand it to him and Brian Carson and Sean DeGoey. I'd hand them their sheet, but on the line, I was always helping Caruso with his post game. What did he see? What did you see? So hey, man, you got the baseline. You over here going too much middle. Your baseline is open every time. So. And then just the different guards we had.
Caruso was good.
Henry Caruso was good. Played at Princeton.
Yep.
Yeah, played at Princeton, then played at Santa Clara. Now he plays 3-on-3. He almost made the Olympic team, 3-on-3. So he's doing well. I mean, that's thorough. I used to call him thorough. I still do. He's a thoroughbred. He really is.
He was WCL Player of the Year too, right?
No, because Aaron Gordon got it.
Oh, that's right.
He missed it by like a couple votes. He was close.
It's hard to beat AG.
Yeah, it's hard to be AG back then. He was tough. But Caruso, he held his own. I mean, and it's funny, Aaron Gordon never won at Serra. We always beat him every time he played at Serra. He never won at Serra. His senior year, all 4 years.
4 straight times.
4 straight times. He always then they get us at Midian in the playoffs, but he never won at Serra.
It's hard to win in the jungle, though. Why is it so hard to win there?
I think it's the students. For sure, the students, the atmosphere, they're kind of like on top of you. But that place, when it's rocking, they give you super energy. I remember when I was playing there, it was like like the jungle game when we play SI. There's like it's the whole school's there, so it's like you playing in front of your buddies, you're playing in front of your friends, and it's just like, man, I got to show out. I got to bring the energy, and there's 3,000-4,000 people at the game in a basketball game like that, super tight knit.
Yep.
And it was nothing. It was nothing better than
I had the privilege to coach 3 of those kids for the Tyler Johnson Elite team. Parker McDonald.
Yeah, Parker was a good player.
6'4", real good PG.
I was sad he didn't keep playing basketball. He was a good player.
He should have. I don't think he wanted to go Division II, but
no, he didn't.
I mean, he could have easily played. He went to Indiana. I think he tried to walk on there.
Right, but then there's something with the coaching. Some coach got left, and then so he got kind of stuck.
Really good dude. And then Parker McDonald, or excuse me, I said Parker McDonald, Cade Reese, and then Cooper Fitz. Yeah, and those three kids were just such. I mean, this was probably 2018, 2019, around there, maybe. But those kids were so good, just defensively. Just like, what was the practices like back when you were playing and coaching with Chuck?
Super detailed. I mean, it was. We played. They always prided himself. Coach Rapp especially was prided himself on defense, sharing the ball. Playing defense, playing basketball the right way. I know that was like a big thing with like Larry Brown, right? Play basketball the right way.
Yep.
So he was like that. It was play basketball the right way. Make the extra pass. Jason, they kick it to you. You don't need to go through two people. Kick the ball back out to people. You know what I mean? And then him, it was always challenging every practice. Like, I might have been the best player, but them practices were tough. That's what made me good was the practices. It was always a competition. Everything was, if you don't win, you're running. I just remember always, bro, I'm not running. We better win. And it was the point he would on purposely give me the lesser guys. And then I was like, it don't matter. I'm going to win because I'm not running no 17 and whatever it was. So the competition level was always at a high level, to the point where his practices, he set a standard, and we're going to rate. He always raised the standard, always kept a high intensity. So when we played other teams, if we didn't play a WCL team, we didn't play a really good team, and they kind of dipped a little bit as the game went, there's no way they could hang with us, because we're just so used to playing at a high level for 2-3 hours, because that's how practices were, 2-3 hours at a time, that if you can't sustain it, you're going to lose. You're going to get blown out the gym, and we're going to beat you up mentally. We're going to meet you up physically. And that's where the separation always came from.
So has he changed his ways to meet some of the young people where they're at these days?
I think he's tweaked it. I think he's tweaked it a little bit. We're not as because he used to go like 3 hours with practices. Like I'm talking walkthroughs were 2-3 hours. Coach Rapp was, because when I played for him, he was the JV coach. So then Coach Grossi was the varsity coach, but he would go 3 hours on like a walkthrough. We were running, I'll never forget
on
it.
JV.
Yes, and then one time I'll never forget it. We ran a 17 on a walkthrough day of the game. He's like, let's get some competition in, guys. I'm like, come on, man, we got a game, and you know, right before the freshmen come on there, you're doing a walkthrough. Yeah, we running 17s, and we got a game in 3 hours. I'm like, this guy. So he's tweaked that a little bit. He's kind of calmed that down a lot. And then he used to super, like, not micromanage, but he always felt like he needed to call a play. So as we had a lot of plays in, I think
he was a joystick.
He's a joystick
coach at that point.
Right, he's a joystick guy. But even later on, when we were on varsity, he was calling like a lot of plays. Now he's kind of calmed down on a lot of plays, because I don't think he feels like kids can retain all that. No. So sometimes just let them play. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe get them a set that – him developing his sets was the sets that let you just play. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like go here, go there. You can always adjust, and you're just playing. You play off of what the person reads. Right. So he's doing that now more big time, as opposed to you got to be in A, B, C. Once you throw it to he's super calmed down on that. Right. I've noticed that in the last couple of years, he's definitely calmed down on that.
I think that's a big thing for most of us coaches now, is just giving them concepts and then them like basically like a read option, right? All right, this is the play design. The linemen are gonna stretch this way, and I'm gonna look at this guy, and if this guy crashes, I got an option, or if this guy goes here, I'm gonna keep it, obviously. And the same thing for basketball is like, we give them options. It's all right, we're going to start in a dribble handoff, but based on how the defense, if they go under, obviously you're going to shoot it. If they trail you, you're going to try to turn the corner. If they switch it, we got options off of that. So you have to, and then we play a lot. We play a lot of small-sided games, a lot of one-on-one, a lot of 2-on-2, a lot of 3-on-3. And the 3-on-3 is based out of our offense. So if we do this, then you're going to do this. If you do this, then you're going to do this. And then the biggest thing is like you can get your guys the advantage. Let's say you get them an advantage to get to the quarterback, but now you got to finish the play.
Yeah.
Now you got to get this quarterback down. Now you got to get this ball out. Now you got to make that next play, because getting the advantages is the one thing, and that's what I've been talking with a lot about in my coaches' inner circle. Like, the coaches are so good now at getting an advantage.
Yeah.
Like, all right, this is 3-by-1. We're going with the one-on-one on the backside.
Yes.
All right, cool.
Yes.
But now, like, after we get that advantage, what can we finish that play?
Mm-hmm.
All right, if we take this slant 1 yard further up, can that separate from the safety that's at the top, or can I manipulate the eyes and get more open? All that sort of stuff is now that next level, but like finishing it and like hitting a home run on that one-on-one coverage instead of just getting a first down.
Just creating the most one-on-one matchups you can. I think that's what basketball coaching helps me a lot with football. Like, because one of the things I teach my defensive linemen is I want you to read the old offensive lineman as you're pass rushing. Let's not predetermine what we're rushing, what we're doing in our pass rush. So I think a lot of kids now, they get super like, okay, I'm going to do a spin move on this play. Okay, what if he doesn't give you the spin move on the play? He don't give you the inside. You can't just, I'm just going to do a spin move just because, right? So I'm super into practicing. Let's read them on the fly. Like, hey, if they give you this, you're doing this. If they give you this, you're doing this. Like, and then in basketball, it helped me too. Like, I'm into, like, it's basically the Euro step is to say, I know you see a lot of defensive linemen, they do in Euro steps now. It's just the 1-2. That's all it really is. So I'm reading his footwork. I'm reading behind him, kind of like in basketball. I'm reading that next defender. I got the guy here, but I'm reading that next defender. It's the same thing with football. And
football D-line, are you just trying to get your top foot on their top foot? Similar to basketball.
Yep.
Like, if I jab you and you move, and then your right foot, and I get my right foot to where yours is, I already won.
That's exactly how it is. Closing that airspace, closing that space in between their feet, get on top of their toes. I say get on top of their toes. It's the same thing.
Right.
Like, I want to get on top of their toes so then I can hit the corner on them. It's the same thing. You replace their foot with their foot. It's the same footwork as basketball. So coaching it is it's the same
but
thing.
Honestly,
you can definitely coach D-line.
It's honestly the same footwork in most of the sports, like soccer too. If I can get around you, and I get my foot over your foot, and I get the advantage. Football, same thing. Basketball, like DB, same thing. They're trying to keep everything in front, like it's very similar too, because if I just told you, if I told somebody that didn't know how to play basketball, how to play defense, all I would say is keep your body in front of theirs. Keep your body in front of the ball. Offensive line, keep your body in front of theirs. Don't get pushed back.
That's it. Same
thing with being a defensive back. Keep your body in front of them. And if you can keep your body in front of them, you have a better, like they can run a curl or something and come back to the ball, but they're not going to beat you over the top as long as my body is in front of yours.
It's super simple. It doesn't need to be complicated.
Right.
Like, I think we overcomplicate things. And that's another thing with the details. If I coach them with the details, I don't need to complicate things.
Right.
I can just, they're detailed in their technique. So I don't need to over coach you. I don't need to overtake. I'm going to teach technique first. I think College of San Mateo, that's one of our big things is we teach technique first, then scheme. Right. So we're teaching effort, how hard you play, how everything, and then we want to coach you up individually. Then we can get you in a scheme. That's fine. Right. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of coaches sometimes they go scheme first because they want to trust the scheme first. Then they'll go effort, then technique, right? Because I can get them in the right play, they'll make the tackle, or if I get them in the right spot. But we kind of go effort first and then technique. And then scheme.
I'm doing it for as long as I've done it now. I think that is the right approach because if you can get the high level of effort, your output is going to be higher. And like, you don't even really need to run a whole lot of stuff if your effort is high.
Exactly.
And if you're playing great defense to start, then it's going to help your offense because you're going to be on offense more if your defense is really good, especially if you can turn people over. So I think that's right. Like, but as coaches,
it's a lot of time, a lot of effort.
We get too far in the weeds because we want to outsmart the other coach. Oh, I can run this. I can run this. I can do this, or you could do this twist. Well, how about I can just beat this guy.
Yeah.
You don't need to do a twist if you don't need to beat him.
Coach Pollock, he's our offensive line coach now. He was assistant coach. He goes, we've had this discussion. He goes, if you go to a guy in a game and go, hey, you can call these 4 plays and you'll win the game. Just those 4. You can't call anything else. Just call those 4 plays. He said 90% of coaches couldn't do it. They get too bored. With it. They get bored. Like, hey, that's the only plays you got. You call them, you're guaranteed to win. A lot of them don't have that discipline or wouldn't have that trust in their technique or their detail, or they get bored, or this is not exciting enough. I'm just calling the same 4 plays and it's working. Like
we get in our own head
more and more. I believe that more and more. It's like you don't need to be in your own head.
I agree.
You know? So
sometimes we do way too much.
Yeah.
And just keeping it simple is hard to scale back to, because when you watch so much film, you see different things. Oh, this will work. This will work. This will work. This will work. But we neglect the fact that the stuff that is already working
all the time. Can they retain all that?
Yeah.
Because I don't want them, because I throw a lot at them, say they can retain it, but they play slow.
Yep.
I don't want them to play slow either. So it's like I don't want them thinking that much. It should be reactionary. Right. Like I don't want them playing slow. We talked about we want them to play fast, effort with violence. You know what I mean? So I don't want them tiptoeing.
Right.
They can maybe they retain a lot of it, but they're kind of thinking too much now. It's like let's keep it simple. Kind of let's go, but let's go by what they can retain too and how they can play most effective.
No, I mean that's it. Like you have to so you might see the game as a coach in one way, and you can see it in multiple ways actually, but the kids can only see it this way.
That's it.
Because they're in it. Like if you've ever been in a helmet, you don't know what is to your right, to your left, and you definitely don't know what's behind. As a coach, you can kind of see everything that's going on the field, and like you could see a formation and be like, oh, they got us on this. Because you've already seen the pattern. Because all this stuff is really patterns. As my son gets ready to come in here.
It's too much on there.
So we're back. My son popped in on the podcast real quick, but I forgot what we were talking about. But no, we don't watch YouTube. We'll watch it if like we're in there. But I got you. It's
too much on there.
It is because you could start on something. Like he'll be watching soccer highlights or Steph Curry highlights, and then it just jumps to something else, and we're like, "What is this? This is not."
You might not even have clicked it.
Exactly.
They just jumping all over. Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
Kids really know how to like. Oh yeah. So he doesn't have an iPad or anything like that.
My little cousin does all that stuff. I'm like, man, this kid. They got to put the parental controls on everything because they just. And he still gets through somehow. I'm like, this kid.
Yep. He knows how to unlock my phone, my wife's phone. It's just wild because they know so much at such a young age. But what are some of the things that you do? Like this is a new generation for players, right? So there are people that I think that are just naturally dogs, and people that want to try hard but maybe not have that full thing in them. Like how are you meeting the players where they're at now to get the most out of them?
See, so it's tough for me. I think that's maybe why I may never go back to high school coaching. I think junior college is kind of my speed in terms of I'm recruiting the guys. I think being upfront and honest with them early, that it's going to be tough. Like I'm going to be tough on them. I mean, I start every week, every game. I know people talk about all the time, but I just tell them, put your feelings in your pockets all the time. That's like my saying. Day one.
Still in that.
Yeah. I've put your feelings in your pockets. Like that's just a day one rule run install that I let it just be known.
And so what happens if they do get in their feelings?
Then I'm going to call them out on it in front of everybody. Like, why are you in your feelings right now? I'm trying to coach you. Like, I feel like these kids today, they allow, if your feelings are in your way of me coaching you, you can't hear what I'm telling you. It's impossible to do both. You're not retaining everything I need to tell you, right? I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to correct you. If you're thinking, man, Coach Hardee's, he's a jerk. He's being mean to me. He's this. He's not treating me fair. You're thinking about that as opposed to, hey, you're going too soft here. You're not going hard enough. You're stepping with the wrong foot. You're not doing this. You're still thinking about Coach Hardee's a jerk or Coach Hardee's yelling at me, and you're not listening to what I'm telling you, right? So you're letting your feelings get in the way of me coaching you. So that's like, and I let it be known, I think being open and honest with them as setting that standard that it's going to be like this.
Right.
I'm not going to change up. I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to be tough on you. When I see you screwing up, I'm going to say it. And then also there's another one is put your feelings in your pockets when you're doing well. I've had players, they're doing well, and now all of a sudden they think they don't need to be coached by me anymore.
Right.
I've kicked kids out of practice because they start doing it their own way, or they're doing what I haven't asked them to do when they've been successful. Like they'll start getting offers and stuff. Now they didn't have offers before. They come with me. Now all of a sudden they're dominant. They're playing well. They got offers. Now you don't want to listen. So now I'm like, bro, bye. I'm like, bye, get out of here. I've kicked kids off like starters. Yeah. Like, get out of here. One of my kids, he's like my little brother, Matt Dickerson. He plays for the Chiefs now. He's played in the NFL 7-8 years. So I used to hold him to a T. And then he started getting good. Like, it was a slow process, but he started getting good maybe 7th, 8th game, right? He started playing well. And then all of a sudden he started doing his own stuff. I booted him right out of there. I said, dude, get out of here right now. I said, all of a sudden now you think you don't need to be coached.
Right.
Now your feelings are out because now you think you don't
feelings
need to,
are out of pocket.
Exactly.
And not in the pocket.
Not in the pocket. So it works both ways. So you have to allow me to coach you. And if your feelings are in the way, good or bad for yourself, you can't get better at all. So I think being upfront, honest with them early on, that's the first thing. I'm setting that standard. So when they do it, and I'm going to call you out on it. Like as soon as you start doing, like I've had kids, we had practice the other day, and there was a couple kids in their feelings because I was yelling at them. I made them run. I stopped the group. I made the whole group yell, run because of it, our whole defensive line group. And then one of our kids, man, get out your feelings. He's trying to help you. Like, you know what I mean? So it's almost like get out, like let's get back to work.
Right.
I'm here to help you. If you don't want to be helped, you want to be coached, you can go.
Right. And feelings aren't facts either.
They are.
They're not facts.
No.
It's something that you are feeling in this moment, but it doesn't mean that it is true.
Right.
And since I coach girls, one of the things that I've been doing more is framing things differently.
Okay.
And one of those things that I use to frame is this good enough for you? Just in that tone. Is this good enough for you? And if that's good enough for you, then that's what I mean. I'm not going to accept it, but most of the time they know it's like, no, it's not good enough for me. So I'm not going to change my behavior now.
I like that one.
And so just little stuff like that, to where watch out for those cords. Don't step on those cords, but just little things like that. And I think I wrote that down over there. Okay. See it on the bottom of my chicken scratch. Is this good enough for you?
Yeah.
And I think I was watching film and the effort wasn't there. And then that's what I came up with. Is like,
that's a good one. I like that.
Is this good enough for you?
Yeah. I might take that one from you too.
And please don't step on those cords. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good one. And so what was the other one that I wanted to steal from you?
That one, and I talk about guys in terms. So I've been on this kick lately about goal setting.
Yeah.
So I've been on this kick of setting goals has become soft to me in terms of if I set because I think with kids today, because they're mentally, if you set a goal, you do a goal, you don't accomplish it, I think there's this huge letdown in them mentally. And then I also think if they do accomplish the goal, then what happens next that you set your goal? Could you have done more?
Right.
So I've been kind of on them about that. Like, let's have like an objective and a direction of where we're going. Like, let's just get better every day. Like when I say setting goals and stuff, now obviously if I got a task like for the day, hey, I want to clean the garage. Okay, I got to knock this out, like those things. But I think in terms of sports, like let's have it be unlimited.
So what would be
goal setting? What
would be an example of something athletically that is not a goal, but just I would probably say more of a habit, right?
Right, because you're forming habits like with it. So it's like I want to be like I think a lot of guys go, okay, I want to be a Division I football player. Okay. So they're going to work. So now you're starting at the end, right? Because you're starting at the end. The goal setting is starting at the end. So then I come through and it's like, okay, what happens when you get there? Now, is it done and you feel accomplished? Now you're this, as opposed to what if you could have did more? Like, are you satisfied now? Like, almost like your thing, is it good enough for you?
Right.
Like, what if you could have been an NFL guy? What if you could have been a CFL guy? Or what if you could have been All-American when you get – it's like, I just think let's just focus on being the best I can be all the time. And because I think that's setting goals is almost the easy way out, because I'm just working towards that one thing, right? So it's like, but if I don't have any goals, I'm constantly getting better every single day with like, I'm just want to be the best I can be. And then everything kind of falls in place when that happens. Yeah. You know, so because I think an athlete goes through 4 stages in their careers or in their lifespan. It's when I'm doing this to prove people wrong, when I'm doing this to prove people right, and then when I'm doing this for like the betterment of myself and the betterment of my family. And then the last one is when I'm doing this just for the process of me being great, or I'm just doing it for the process and I'm not thinking about a goal and I'm just doing this gets me better. Right. And the faster you get to the last one is when all the other things happen. Because you're gonna prove people wrong. You're gonna be successful. You're gonna prove people right. But only when you focus on just maintaining yourself and the goals and what you're doing. Right. You know what I mean? I just want to be better every day. Yeah. And I'm just focused on the process. I think when you don't have goals per se, you're more focused on the process and what you're doing every day.
I agree with that.
So that is kind of, I know that's unrealistic. Like, you want to have a goal, an end goal. I get it, direction, but sometimes it's just, I'm like, it's too soft. Like, you're taking the easy way out. I set a goal, it's taking the easy way out. Yep. Yeah. So those are the 2 things I've kind of been I've been on lately.
Yeah. And that's what, like, some people like goals and some people can, do the Ariana Grande thank you next and then get to the next goal. But other people may think the way you do. I'm kind of probably somewhere in the middle. Like, I don't really write stuff down like as far as like SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, and then like a timetable. I kind of just write a direction that I kind of want to go, mostly like end goals. Like if it's family related or team related, like I'll just point out things like I don't want to have like a 20 win record, because what if we can get 25? That's like,
the whole thing.
I want to look back and did we maximize everything that we could at that time, whether that be personally, professionally, individually. If it's like working out, I work out every day, right? Like every day. Even if it's you're
working out just for the betterment of you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get a certain goal and weight wise or whatever. I'm just working for the betterment of myself. Like that's like so one of the examples is I get bigger kids kind of from high school, kind of overweight sometimes. Sure. And then they'll be like, hey, what are you trying to get to? What are we doing? And I've had one kid go, Coach, he needed to lose probably about 40 pounds, right? If we give or take, he was overweight by like 40. He goes, Coach, I want to get stronger. I want to lose weight and be better. My goal is to that's so I can play longest, however long, right? And then he obtained his weight loss goal easily and more. And I'm thinking, if he went, I want to lose 30 pounds. And he just got to the 30. What if he could have lost 40? Right. What if he could have lost 45 and been stronger? It's like one of those things, like, let's not cap ourselves.
Yep. I think Moses Malone, when Charles Barkley he's been on a lot more podcasts, I think, just because he's up for contract in a minute. Yeah, he is. But he was talking about his name out there. He was talking about when he came in the league, he had to lose a lot of weight. Yeah. And so if Moses came to him and told him, like, hey, you got to lose 80 pounds. He was like, let's just start getting you moving. Let's get 5 pounds. Exactly. All right. Okay, we got that. Let's get 5 more pounds. And then you look back, he lost 50 plus pounds. Right. And now he's playing a lot better. He's getting into the lineup. And that's really all it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's always process over outcomes. Yeah. Like, the only like I say D comes before C, because you got to decide and commit to whatever it is that you're going to want. And another thing that I use, I like a lot of these terms because I just sit there and like write them down. If I hear something that's good, and I'll write a couple of these things down from our interview. But the only time that success comes before work is in the dictionary. Yeah. You got to work before you actually get to success. And so many people
work in the dark too.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing in the dark.
The unseen hours that you put in. Like, I'll see some of my friends and they might not be in like great shape right now. And I think I'm in shape that I was in college now because I just put in the work. And COVID did that, but I started changing my regimen. They're like, "Oh, you always look like that." I was like, "No, I haven't. It was work. It was a lot of work to get to where you want to get to, and that's what the process is, and enjoying the process, like ingratiating yourself in this, because that's what you want to do it for. Like when they're playing right now as kids, they play the games because they love it. And you have to start to love the stuff that you might not like that much to get to where you want to get to in the end.
I think that's big. I think, and that's big with these kids with school. I mean, back to where we kind of first started, like I didn't like going to school, but I already knew that was the thing I had to do to play sports, which I love to do. So I had to learn. My dad used to talk to me all the time about, man, this school, you got to enjoy it. You got to love it. You got to trick your mind, or all that kind of stuff, because if you don't do it, you're not going to play the thing you love to do. Right. Which is so.
I hope my son's listening over there
to that one. Because it can be boring. School, and it's doing things, like you said, that's boring and not interesting, but knowing that you have to do it. And it's that tedious work that I think kids, like I was listening to one guy and he's talking about how he has problems with kids. If he's training them and he goes, "Okay, I want you to do pull-up jumpers, 30 minutes, same spot, same pull-up jumper. Same with me and defensive line. Hit the bag, 30 minutes, one step, that's it." By rep 15, they're like, "Oh, I'm going to do 2 steps now. I'm going to do 3 steps now. I'm going to do a pull-up jumper. I'm going to go behind the back now." And they can't sustain the tedious work.
The basics are boring.
Yeah, the basics are boring. You got to sustain.
But I also heard this one too. Don't get bored if you're getting better.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the key.
Like that one.
Don't get
bored.
Why
are you bored if you're getting better?
Yeah.
There's no reason.
You're getting better?
Yeah.
You can't be bored of that, because when I'm dogging you off of this, because most of the people, if you get like one go-to thing, then you get a couple counters. And then probably the same thing for D-line. If you got this, if you got one really good go-to thing, it's going to open up the other things for you. Like if you got a bull rush, now you can bull rush and,
counter off
counter off that, because I'm so worried about this. Or shooters, right? Shooter. Every team has 1 or 2 of them. It's very rare that a team has 5. So every coach on the other team is going to be yelling, "Shooter, shooter, shooter." Now I get the shot fake and I can go the one dribble pull up. And okay, I shot 40% last year from 3. Everybody's going to know where I'm at. I go to the one dribble pull up. I'm averaging a few more points a game because now they're not running me off the line. And if they run me off the line, now I have a counter for whatever it is that they put in.
I'm still on that one for sure. Don't get bored.
Don't get bored with the basics.
I got you.
Don't get bored with the basics.
How are you bored when you're getting better? Yeah, because that's the whole objective, right?
Yep.
Why are we?
And that's the one I'll add on to it. How are we bored if we're getting better?
Yeah.
And like we do jump stops and pivots all the time, but playing off of 2 feet, especially in high school basketball, especially with female athletes, is just a better opportunity for you to score and finish. Because
I thought female athletes is. Because I'll coach. I help coach Notre Dame sometimes. Notre Dame Belmont with Sam Rossi. We're close family friends.
Yep.
So I'll go in there and like I'll work on rebounding or something for them. They're like it's way less stressful. I don't know than coaching boys. But I've coached it.
I don't know. I think
stressful. You're gonna think differently than me because I'm only there for an hour. So I know it's a little different, but I actually always enjoyed it, like coaching.
For sure,
young ladies. It's not what you think. I was like, maybe they'll kind of be in their field, but they're super like attentive to details, and that's what I'm trying to coach them. So I know it's probably different for you because you're a head coach, but for me, like they're super detailed and like what it is, what you're trying to coach them and teach them, and they're super like attentive. I'm just like, because the boys, it's like I've got to hammer the details like all the time, every day, same thing. And it's like I'll go every once in a while back and forth, and they've already kind of picked up that. Hey, coach, I remember you said this, and then, it's like their retention of details.
I think is what's impressive. Ryan Cooper, right?
Yeah,
we talked about this before, where boys, they got to battle to bond. Like, I got to go against you, and then you know what I'm bringing to the table, and I know what you're bringing to the table, and then we can bond. And girls need to bond before they can battle. And so I've seen that probably, it's not everybody, but in a generality, I think that is kind of how you can differentiate men and women. I can challenge a guy directly as a man, no, this is what you got to do. As a girl, if you try to challenge some of them in that same way, they might not be reciprocal, they may not receive that well. Right. So you have to make sure that we have, I know them as a person before I can challenge them. Right. And when they're playing with each other, as far as like on the court, they need to make sure that, okay, we need to bond, and then we're going to go out there and do this battle.
Okay, so that's the difference. Okay.
Yeah, I think
that makes sense. Like, actually, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. So what do you do outside of coaching? So just to give people like an idea of what it looks like to be a coach at the collegiate junior college level.
So I have another job. So I work operations manager at Moscone Center in downtown San Francisco. So I help out with all those events.
Yep.
So like all the different setups and stuff that's going on, I work with that the housekeeping, stuff like that, making sure things are kind of going. So, I mean, my schedule is, I'll sacrifice a lot. The one thing I do, I guess I sacrifice is sleep. I'm not a big sleeper. I'm a nap guy. So like I'll go to work 6 a.m. to about, 2:30. I rush to practice. We got meetings. I go to practice 3:30 to about, 6:30. Then I'm done 7:30. I'll go maybe eat a little bit. I'll take a quick nap, and then I'll wake up, go to the gym. I'll watch film after, wake up. I'll go to the gym about 11 p.m. till about 1:30. Then I'm done there. Then after 1:30, I go home, shower, do what I got to do. I'll watch some more film. I'm getting ready for the next day practice. And then after that, I'll take a quick nap, and then I'm right back up again, moving on my stuff. So
make sure.
I think it's
that's like that.
That's my schedule.
That hurt my head.
That hurt your head. Hey, a lot of people, I'm called crazy, but my thing is like I feel like I'm weird if I get a lot of sleep, because I feel like somebody's getting an advantage on me. So I've always been like that. It's like, hey, somebody's getting an advantage on me. So while they're sleeping, the defensive line coach on the other team, he's sleeping and I'm watching film. So I think it's me being single, no kids. I think I have an advantage with a lot of things in terms of time. And I think I got to use those things to my advantage.
For sure.
Because I know I'm super petty all the time, a little bit, Chris.
No, it's not good.
No, I'm petty in terms of, so, everybody posts everything online, right? So like when I'm recruiting guys, I'm like, okay, who am I going against? What is he like? What is he about? So if a guy has like a family and stuff, I'm gonna be like, okay, so he's out for Valentine's Day. No way he can recruit on Valentine's Day. So, okay, I'm gonna go see the kid on Valentine's Day. If his wife's birthday or something, he's definitely not doing nothing there. So okay, so I'm gonna go see the kid on his wife's birthday. Make sure I call him on that day. Especially if we're going back and forth with a guy.
Okay.
Just those little kind of just super like tidbit things. Like
you playing chess.
I'm trying to. So I think being single, I have those advantages of, okay, I don't have kids running around. I don't have a wife. You know what I mean? So, okay. So I can go to a game on Valentine's Day and I'm recruiting guys. I go to, like, if I'm recruiting a football guy, he's a basketball guy too. I'm going to his game on Valentine's Day. I'll figure all that other stuff out later, but I have to form an advantage. I have to use what is God, what He's given me.
I like that.
So
and that's what I pull up with my wife and kids to the game.
To the game. That's why you got to pull up to the games. But I'm going from one to the other. I'm going to recruit kids, and I'll do on-campus visits and stuff on those days, like kind of where I know where they can't afford to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
that's good. That's good. I like
that. So I think it's, my schedule is, what you sacrifice is the greater the sacrifice, the greater reward. And my goal is at the end of the day is to get these kids scholarships.
And you've done that at a high level. Right. A lot of your kids get opportunities at the next level, and much respect to how you handle each one of those players and treat them like family, but hold them accountable. And they may not understand right now in the moment, but when they get that opportunity to go to the next level, and then they get to that next level and they say, oh man, this was really tough, and coach was trying to really prepare me. So a lot of respect to you, man. And I appreciate you for coming. Of course. Anything you want to leave with the people, or if people want to reach out, any directives to how to get in touch with you? Yeah, no, I got my Twitter, Instagram. They can get in touch with me. I do, sometimes personal training, but I keep it kind of light. But if the kids, worth it, I'll because I don't have a lot of time, so I'm kind of super selective in who I do, but who I personal train. But other than that, I'll just come out to the CSM games. You might see Coach on the 225 bench press. 225, all of those for 5 plates, 40 reps. 40 Gotta stay strong. 40 reps. Hey, Chris, I tell these kids, hey, you ain't gonna punk me. I don't know. You might punk the other kids. I ain't got enough plates over there for you. So we got to. I gotta hang in there. The body is only as we get older too. It's like for sure. Yeah. Well, much love. Here's our outro. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share it.
Thank you for listening to the Beyond the Buckets podcast. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and share the show with your friends. And until next time, take care.